can you talk to the people about mileage? Mileage, bookkeeping, S corp, all the things about personal miles on their personal vehicle, or I'm sorry, business miles on their personal vehicle.
Yeah, so if you're a lot of people are probably using their personal vehicle, to go to networking meetings, to meet with clients, maybe to meet with distributors or whatnot. So you can track that mileage, and then when you do file your taxes, you literally would enter your car information. Your tax preparer would do this, but basically all of the mileage that you're utilizing like throughout wherever you're going, if you track that for the year, you get, I forgot what the pennies on the dollar is, but
Yeah,
you get a,
it's like this year I think it's 67 cents a mile,
yeah.
I think, but you
Yeah.
can Google it very easily.
Yeah, and so you get that as a tax deduction. And so that's going to help you save in taxes if you're making sure that you're tracking that mileage, to and from. And again, it doesn't have to even be a business vehicle. It can be your personal vehicle.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Now,
and
I'm
so
unclear on if you can lease a vehicle as an S corp and have it belong to the LLC. Is that a
yeah,
thing
so
that you
yeah,
can do?
so if you can, yeah, so any business, even if you're an LLC or if you're taxed as an S corp, if you lease a vehicle, that those lease payments are deductible as a tax deduction. If you purchase a vehicle, sorry, if you're financing, like if you purchase a vehicle and you're paying like a note, those payments are not deductible. The only thing you can deduct is the interest on basically your car payment. But if it is a lease, you do get that whole deduction.
Yep, there you go. I mean, like, think about how much money
And
that
that's
could
another
save
great
you
way to save.
also.
Yeah, that might, and that obviously you have to do some kind of cost analysis, to see, do you have cash flow? Like, should you get a lease or, but it is, if you need a new business car, a lease might be the way to go. But definitely, you'd have to do the cost analysis between both, and also talk to your tax preparer because you want
Always
to
do
do the
that.
numbers to make sure which one works out the best.
If you don't have one, get one. How can the folks get a hold of you if they want to hire your company? Do you take people like virtually all over the
Yeah,
United States
so
or?
yeah, so the amazing thing about this business and one of the reasons that like really pushed me to start it was when COVID happened and we everyone was sent home, and I realized that I can do anything from my computer wherever I am. And so our business is completely virtual. The QuickBooks Online makes it super easy because it's literally an online platform. We used to use desktop where you'd have to have it on one particular
Oh yeah.
computer and like kind of you could potentially remote log in, but QuickBooks Online makes it really, really easy. So I'm on the East Coast in Rhode Island and I have a client in California.
I love it.
So I have clients all over. I know when I first started, most of my clients were not local. And as I grew, for whatever reason,
Right.
I started to get more local clients. But I
Okay.
really started with clients. I think New Hampshire was my first client, North Carolina, and then California is the furthest one. So we
And
can
where
service.
are you?
I'm in Rhode Island.
Okay, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so right near Boston. So if people are not familiar, a lot of people are like, "It's Rhode Island." I know that it's in New York, and I'm like, "No, but it's close." Yeah, so we everything is virtual. We meet with our clients virtually, and we handle all of their bookkeeping kind of in the cloud. And we use software where they upload their documents so that we can,
Okay.
have their bank statements and review anything that we need to for loan statements, things of that nature.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so they can find me a million ways, but we have a website. It's kellyfinancialservicesllc.com. And then I do have a Facebook, Kelly Financial Services LLC, as well as an Instagram. And
Okay.
I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Okay. So I mean, when I first saw your info come through, I thought you were from like Kelly Services. Like there's a staffing agency, an
Yeah,
enormous staffing agency called
yeah.
Kelly Services, I think.
I think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's funny on the block, someone said, "Oh, I've heard of you," and I was like, "I'm sorry, that's not me."
Yeah, I know. I'm like, well, when you first said I own Kelly Financial Services, I was like, word? Like, so like, how did she? And then I realized that it was a different thing. It was a different thing. Okay. So, but anyways, you guys, so she's not talking about like Kelly Services, the temp agency. She's not that. Yeah, she's going to help you do your books. I mean, that's awesome. I honestly like, we're going to talk after this because I'm That's one thing I'd love to outsource, and I have been
Yeah.
scared to outsource it, but yeah, I
Yeah, and
mean,
it can be because, your businesses are your babies, and you have to, like
right,
you have to trust the person, that's doing your finances, but the
right,
good thing is you do have that background, so, you can spot when
right.
things look a little weird, and so
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I know that does help, and that's why I'm keeping it. I feel guilty because I do finance consulting. I have one big client. I'm there 40 to 50 hours a week, and
Wow.
then I only usually get to go to the daycare on Saturday morning.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, you need a
I
break.
exactly, exactly. So I still do all the scheduling, all the payroll, and um and all of the bookkeeping.
Mhm.
So those are kind of like, oh, and I pay all the bills, like, right? So like accounts payable, but
Yep.
we don't really have accounts receivable. I mean, we have a minor accounts receivable because I invoice my company, but we're not seven, so it's not like a big deal. Like, I'll know if I don't get it because all my checks will start bouncing. So yeah, okay, all right. So in the spirit of, this series, um, how long ago did you get started, and did you run into any issues? Did you learn any lessons as you were opening and scaling your business that, if you could do it over again, you'd do it differently? That kind of help the folks that are watching.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was thinking about this too, like what are the kind of the things I really would have wanted to do different. So I actually started my business during COVID. And to
Okay.
be honest, I had no intentions of ever owning a business or being an entrepreneur. I was, the girl that I went to college, I got my degrees, and then I'm like, I'm gonna be a businesswoman in the corporate world, and I'm gonna work my way. I want to work my way up that ladder. And so I did that, and I got to a really comfortable position. I was an accounting manager for my last corporate job. And then COVID happened. And I
Yeah.
think for everyone, COVID changed a lot of people's lives when, you really started to think about what was important. And so I do have a son. He actually just turned 15. And so,
Okay.
yeah, so I'm a single mom. And so it's challenging, trying to grow your career, trying to take care of your children or your child, and trying to do it all. It's a lot. And then going home, sitting there, and then I'm like, I can do this from home for
Yeah.
myself with my own clients, and I don't have a boss. I don't have anyone to go to. I don't have to request time off. I don't have to do any of this, the corporate nonsense. And
That's
corporate jobs are great if you love what you're doing. And I've worked for some great companies, but for me, I knew I was at the point where I was like, okay, it's time to take another route. And so literally during COVID, because we had nothing but time, one
right.
week I registered my business. I got my EIN. I got my business bank account. I created a Wix website. I made Facebook. I did Facebook, Instagram, everything. And I joined about, it feels like
Us
85
too.
networking on
Us
Zoom.
too. That's exactly the route that we took as well.
Yeah. And so, and slowly but surely, I just started to get client after client. And um,
How did you find them?
So it was the networking. My first client was from my first networking group. It was like, and she is the smallest client, and she's still my client to this day. And
That's a
sometimes
good
I want to just,
strategy.
yeah. And so I just kept doing networking. And then kind of once I started to get a few clients, they then referred other people to me. And then I
Sure.
kept up with kept pushing, I'm not marketing is actually something I'm really going to dive into this year, being more like
Yeah.
strategic and more intentional about it. And so, but I kept up with posting good stuff on good tips on Facebook and Instagram. But I would say like 50% of my clients have come from a referral, and then
Referrals.
50 just happened to find me on Google or saw me on Facebook or Instagram. And
That's
so that's kind of,
excellent.
yeah, so I've been really fortunate, and so I think this year is, the year I'm really trying to scale, and I want to level that up. So we'll see how we'll see. After going on the blocks, I learned a lot about what to do with my website, like the SEO, Google Ads, Facebook ads, those types of things. But to go back to the question, what I would have done differently
Yeah.
is I will say this: when you start a business, treat your business like a business. A lot of people start
Yes.
off like a side hustle. I'm going to do this on the side because that's what I did. I'm like, oh, this is going to be on the side and we'll see what happens. And what I realized is my first year, I made $40,000 in revenue my first year part-time, which was
That's
like
amazing.
mind-blowing. But guess what? Where's that 40,000? I spent it because I
Right.
treated my business like a hobby. I wasn't
That's
really
right.
intentional about saving. I wasn't intentional about investing in the business.
Reinvesting.
Yeah, I was making money and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like COVID, I think me and my son ate out 4 days a week, even though we were home. And so I would say the biggest thing is I wish I would have started to take my business more serious in the beginning, at the very inception.
Yeah,
You
that is
know,
such good advice.
yeah, you have to, because I think, for me, it was a little bit of imposter syndrome, like, oh, how am I gonna start a business? How am I gonna become a business owner?
Yeah.
Like, who's gonna hire me? How am I gonna get clients? And so I didn't, even though, I was hustling in those networking and doing these Facebook and this, but I don't think it really like settled in that like, no, this is a viable business that you can grow and
Absolutely.
scale and you don't have to work this 9 to 5 anymore. And I remember even,
Wow.
saying like, oh, I'm not in a rush to, and I wasn't, and I'll still hold true to that. I'm not in a rush, to leave my 9 to 5 and focus solely on the business. But when I really started to get traction in my second year, my eyes opened when I did my first year's taxes. And I'm like, what the heck were you doing? Why were you not like taking this serious? And like then my income doubled. And then I buckled down and I was like, okay, that's it. Like I'm gonna save, I'm gonna reinvest, I'm gonna set
Yeah.
financial goals for the business, I'm gonna
Mhm.
set, client goals. Like I want to get so many clients per month. And then I
Good for
think once I really,
you.
yeah, once I really did that, it
Yeah.
shifted. My mindset shifted, the business shifted, and then I just started to slowly but surely really grow. And so I think that was like the game changer is taking it serious, like having the confidence in myself that
Yeah.
no, this is going to work. This is going to be, a 6 figure, 7 figure business. And I have to focus on that and treat it that way.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. So I'm proud of you for doing that. Do you still have your day job?
No. So I
Okay.
left. So I, again, I was like, okay, no more messing around. Like, this is a business.